revision that was and execute as original. I just need council to ratify that.
Okay, so council, does anybody have any questions or discussion on 1-1?
I do. Was the objection to the limit, removing the limit, or the 1%?
The limit. So right now, typically everybody we have on PDAs that have manufacturing, it's capped at 45. So this is in line with everybody else for a maximum. They're actually our first manufacturer in town. So the first one to the table that's actually going to manufacture, and that's their main and sole intent. So yeah, they're going to invest about $5 million. I just met with them actually. I just met with them up in Fresno at the building designer, and they had some, because they're out of Washington, so they don't know a lot about California building codes and whatnot, but they're finishing up there. I left, they're up there getting ready to finalize signed papers. They're expecting the buildings to be delivered the 1st of November and to be operational and bottling in April of 2022 is kind of their timeline they laid out today.
What is their anticipated revenue? Manufacturing revenue?
I don't know what the end game would be after all the tax and stuff. I do know that they're doing about 30 or 40 million a year in Oregon right now, and they are in 410 stores out of like 431 stores in the state, or in Washington. I'm sorry. So it really depends on how quick they can get into market, what kind of shelf space they can get. It's all about shelf space and getting into the stores. So they're not first to the game by any means when it comes to beverages. So, but I would expect they're going to be, doing similar volumes in California, probably not first year, but I would expect they'd be somewhere between 40 and 60 total in years 2 to 3. But then I don't know what the net is after you take out all the fees from the state and the city and this and that. So I know more about like the dispensaries and how they operate. Like the dispensaries right now are operating, Valley Pier's probably operating at a 3% margin. And NHC is doing a little bit better than that, I believe. I think they're closer to just somewhere between 8 and 10% return right now.
Well, when you say they're doing 40 or 50 million dollars in Oregon, and it's off of manufacturing. So how do we assess that?
So on the manufacturing, so we get the $45,000. Or so if they do, once they hit the $4.5 million in sales, they've capped. So they pay basically a flat fee of $45,000 for manufacturing. And then we would get 1% of overall distribution. So if they did 40 million in sales and they distribute 40 million out to dispensaries, then we would get 1% of 40 million. So we're getting a small fee on the manufacturing, but we're getting our 1% on all the distribution. And they're doing 40 million right now up in Washington. So that's what, 400,000 a year in revenues off distribution.
And our other manufacturer in town that has $45,000 limit, what's that?
Yeah, nobody's manufacturing yet. So that's they have it in their plans to eventually do manufacturing. So they could be manufacturing anything from oil to gummy bears to candies. So we've just got a flat rate of 45,000 in place for all our cannabis guys, and that keeps us very competitive. There's other cities that offer 0% manufacturing. Some even offer 0 on distribution, but they can't get locked into a long-term deal, so they're not willing to spend the money. So to kind of put it into perspective, with just between like Peoples, NHC, Farm Lemoore, these guys in base camp, we've already we have over $40 million worth of investments going on in Lemoore right now. Between probably, well, let me see, it's 15, 10, 25, 30. Yeah, we're probably at $35 million in investment in our community right now from those companies.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Great.
We haven't had growth like this on economic development since probably Locrino came in. Not even close in the college. That's been what, 20 years, 18 years?
Okay, so does anybody else on council have any other comments or questions? Okay, how about the public? Is there anyone from the public that has any comments or questions?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay. So then back to council. And if I'm so Mary, I'm gonna need a motion
You
to
will.
accept.
Ratify the contract, I believe it is, right?
Yeah, a motion to accept the contract as presented
Okay,
at your last meeting.
okay. So do I have a motion to accept the contract as read at the last meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mrs. Matthews. And do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, Mr. Cheney. And Mrs. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney, Mr. Orr,
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Gornick,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So 1-1 passes. And thank you all for taking the time to get on here. I know for me, it's easier to show up in city chambers for me. Poor Marissa had to get my iPad going on this, and it's easier for me to do these things in person than on the computer. But nonetheless, we got it done, and you know, the city's moving forward with business. So with that being said, our meeting is adjourned.
Council, and thank you.